My fellow Springfielders, here at Burns Industries we release the hounds on all forms of disrespect, and to tolerance we say, excellent. As such, we have terminated association with Homer J. Simpson, as his actions do not represent the values of Evil Corps. Moving forward, we plan to sit back, tent our fingers, and listen.
What has happened to The Simpsons? You can see less and less effort being put into the animation, and the voiceover people they brought in or replaced others with are terrible. I used to like the show up until like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yippee! My industrial-grade steam vacuum!
Marge's voice sounds very odd in this episode. I haven't watched it in a while, but how long has it been that way? That's so horrific. The voice actors should be chosen for their skill, not diversity. This voice sucks too, and if this isn't Lenny, then why does he know Homer's name? Is it Lenny? Cause Homer acts like he doesn't know the guy, so lazy animation if it isn't Lenny.
Once it became clear that human companionship was a non-starter, I adopted this handsome little mister, Devin. He loves it here.
The latest episode, 14 of season 33. 33 seasons? That's insane. Only other shows coming close is like Law and Order or maybe soap operas. Anyway, in the Simpsons episode called You Won't Believe What This Episode Is About, Homer gets cancelled for leaving Santa's little helper, their dog, in a hot car.
Hey, check it out! Some jerk left their dog in the car!
With the windows rolled up, no less.
Who does that? Monster!
Even though he did have all the windows down and the dog jumped around and closed them, which is kind of funny because it's an example of the witnesses not seeing the full video or context of the incident and making judgment calls without the context.
Some people are just born broken.
Homer then goes on an apology tour.
Homer, you have to apologize for yesterday.
What? Why? The dog and I are cool.
Look, we know you didn't mean to do anything wrong, but sometimes you just need to accept responsibility so people will move on.
Things don't go well and the clip goes viral.
Sorry if you pee-pee babies were offended by something that was no big deal and everything's fine, so what's the issue? I'm sorry that you don't have enough things to get mad at. I'm sorry that you all have skin thinner than gas station toilet paper. And I'm sorry that your lives are so boring that you take a man who left his rescue dog for 2 minutes to buy him organic ice cream from a woman-owned local business and you crucify him!
Ow, my dog's eye!
What's a Simpson to do? Go on a popular podcast, of course. Homer goes to see a right-wing podcaster. Without a name to, I guess, explain his side of things. But come on, look at this character. It wasn't very subtle. Did you even ask Rogan? Bet they didn't. I think he'd be able to make fun of himself since he did Chappelle's Show back in the day. There is part of the episode that I think is funny when Homer visits a place called the Institute, a rehab if you will, for people who have been cancelled and sees the other offensive actions.
First up, Helen Lovejoy, aka Lemonade Karen.
Let me see your permit. Where did you steal these lemons from? I don't think you're even from this neighborhood. Siri, call 911.
Damn lemon stealing whore.
Councilman Jed Hawk, aka the Toilet Rocker, who always forgets to turn off his camera and hit mute.
She was a fast machine, she took the motor, cleaned the bottom, muzzled out American thighs. Oh no.
Sitting on toilet. Sitting on toilet. Sitting on toilet. Sitting on the toilet. Now flush.
Larry Dugan, aka Pissed Oh Shorty. He throws tantrums in public. A lot.
Oh, sure, the club's at capacity as soon as the short guy shows up. I get it, and I'm pissed-o. Oh, so you don't have any blueberry muffins left for the short man. I'm pissed-o.
Women in general have said it on dating sites. You think I'm making that shit up?
At the Institute, apparently a rich dude has tech that allows them to erase all evidence of people doing bad things on the internet. But by Homer erasing his own viral incident, he will also erase the deeds of others cancelled, like Martin Shkreli raising drug prices sky high overnight. Turns out, the guy running the institute has been paid by his wealthy clients to erase their mistakes, and so he was using Homer and the other Springfield residents to break in and do it for him, but instead, Homer cancels the canceling and apologizes.
I'm Homer Simpson, and I'm truly sorry. Sorry, yet also grateful for this opportunity.
In the annals of time, there have only been 5 truly great public apologies. But on that day, the words Lisa wrote, and Homer somehow read to everyone in the world, put those others to shame. It was deeply soul-searching and 100% effective. Homer was forgiven by all and beloved forever.
Just awful Morgan Freeman impression here. The better move here would have been to make fun of like Neil Young or Joni Mitchell, but nah, Simpsons wouldn't do that. Your politics are showing again, Simpson writers. So let's make this clear. The Joe Rogan doppelganger appears for 4 seconds of the episode, and yet people are reacting like the show was promoting Joe Rogan's opinions, when clearly they're making a satire of the whole Rogan thing. The episode was not that bad, but people of course will see the headlines about Homer meeting Rogan like I did, but unlike I did, some will just see the title and not watch the whole episode for context. Some even wrote articles already, such as Cathal Gunning for Screen Rant. That article is called The Simpsons Weird Joe Rogan Parody Does More Harm Than Good. Here are some highlights. In You Won't Believe What This Episode Is About, Act 3 will shock you. The Simpsons attempted to parody the phenomenon of cancel culture, while also caricaturing podcast host Joe Rogan. However, the resulting episode's message was muddled and contradictory, while any attempted satirical slam on Rogan was defanged by the plot of the outing itself. Far from taking Rogan down a notch or offering any meaningful commentary on cancel culture, The Simpsons Season 33 episode proved a profound failure with an indecipherable message and self-defeating execution. You can't decipher the message? The message is that cancel culture is ridiculous, and the best way to handle people who make mistakes that go viral is if their apology is sincere and their actions appear to change, then we should accept said apology. The episode at the end was clearly being sardonic when it stated Homer apologized and he was completely and totally forgiven. I have a feeling the writer of this joke of an article wanted The Simpsons to say that cancel culture is sometimes justified and to make Joe Rogan look like as big of an idiot as they can. The Simpsons isn't South Park. They aren't as brave in their statements unless they meet with society's current accepted political viewpoint. The character who welcomes Homer into a building labeled Right-Wing Podcast House is intended to resemble the former UFC commentator. However, this gag falls flat for obvious reasons. The plot had, by this point, already shown that Homer was made a pariah for no good reason, and his public shaming came about because of a harmless misunderstanding. As such, the episode implies that this nameless right-wing podcast host guests are presumably equally well-meaning, harmless figures like Homer. If the show wanted to take issue with Rogan, his likeness could have been included in the closing scene's slew of people Homer calls terrible. See, I told you, wanted them to shame Rogan. He really did miss the message of the episode, clearly, since this author is still trying to cancel Joe Rogan. One part in this article I agree with, when they state that South Park's Cold War satire was done way better. If the show wanted to criticize a famous figure with as large an audience as Rogan, the satirical point would be sharper if they named the commentator himself rather than obliquely referencing him as a generic right-wing podcaster. Given his huge platform and fame, naming the host would have been more effective, particularly when it is easy for Rogan to simply reject the label right-wing as he has done before, despite featuring right-wing speakers on his show. You can have a conversation with a person of a particular political affiliation without supporting or promoting their beliefs, and someone can have both some leftist beliefs and some right-wing beliefs and be a centrist. Believing in one bullet point of a political party does not mean you were on their side with every issue or even voted for them. The choice to have him welcome Homer with open arms proves The Simpsons isn't clear what the show is trying to say about cancel culture. The right-wing podcast house has a sign outside saying pariahs welcome, but Since Homer did nothing to deserve his public shaming, that should theoretically be a good thing. A pariah is not a person who is outcast but did nothing wrong. A pariah is just defined as someone who is rejected from society. The definition says nothing of whether or not the public shaming was justified. Homer was scared of going on the podcast of show perhaps because he knows he has messed up public apologies before, but also because of the unjust reputation and name-calling that goes on for those who even talk to or listen to not Joe Rogan. The episode also takes aim at clickbait as a phenomenon, without establishing any meaningful link between it and public shaming. The problem is, Homer didn't do anything that necessitated an apology, and is right to feel unfairly vilified, so pairing him in with characters that The Simpsons depicts as villains and unrepentant jerks made the episode pointless. Dude, that is their point! Homer didn't deserve the public shaming, but if someone walks their dog in a hot car, they should be called out for it and face consequences. Mistreatment of animals is far worse than anything Joe Rogan has ever said or promoted. In most cases of cancellation, the people don't deserve to have their lives and careers destroyed because of their perceived slights against PC society. Homer's apology is intended to be key to the episode's story, but in classic Deus Ex Machina fashion, it is never heard by the viewer, as the episode's narrator explains that the apology perfectly satisfied everyone, fixed everything, and solved all of the plot's problems. This is sardonic, tongue-in-cheek, a commentary that an apology in these incidents is rarely accepted and rarely changes anything or gets the person's job and reputation back. How can you not see that? The author here says that the episode is saying that to give in to public pressure is the moral good. But did they? Or did they say it to point out that actually no, this is never what the cancelers think? I don't know. Perhaps my perception of this episode is way off and I'm taking the wrong message from it. But let me know down in the comments what you think and what you think of what I think. As always, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell.
Come and be informed.